on YouTube as well. So okay, now we live on YouTube. So shout out to my people that's going to be coming in on YouTube as well. I want to read the title. We doing the once again the X/Twitter YouTube broadcast /space body cam footage shows Black Georgia woman severely beaten by cop. Over here, the title may read a little bit different on X. Black cop severely beats black woman over being called a coon. So this cat here basically felt like he was insulted. He's supposed to be an officer of the law. He got insulted or whatever. Of course, I'm going to read the story up, but he got insulted. And then he went ahead and he decided to just do a number on this sister, man. This was ridiculous how bad he beat her. And I posted this yesterday, and it's up in the Jumbotron as well, too, man. If you hadn't got a chance, go ahead and read that article. Go ahead and share it out as well, too. Lady face, was all bloody and beaten and, whatever the cause of it was. Let's be honest, if this was a white woman, it would have never escalated to that point. I don't care what it is. You see white women assault cops all the time, and they don't get their face beaten in, and they're not treated the way this woman was treated as well too. Nobody's excusing her behavior. At the same time, she posed no threat to this man. She posed no threat whatsoever to him, and for him to go ahead and take it out. And a lot of times people say, y'all only criticize the black cops or the white cops and this and that or whatever. No, that's not true at all. We criticize because we did the thing with the 5 cops. We had a broadcast about the ones in the Memphis situation. Oh my God, what's the brother name? Tyree, I believe. Was it Tyree Nichols? I don't want to. It's so many.
It was Tyree Nichols.
Okay, we talked about the situation with Tyree Nichols, and people say, well, y'all only. Here's the thing: when a black cop does do something, there's an uptick, there's a cry from the public to go ahead and do something. They want to see us be just as vigilant when it comes to punishment for them. Black people ain't sitting up here saying let black cops beat on black people and nothing happened to them. And even though this was a black cop that beat on this woman, you still had his department still trying to cover for him. And this guy supposedly had a history of doing this kind of things as well, having violent outbursts and things of that nature as well too. So nobody's sitting up here saying, well, it's a black person, we'll just go ahead and let it slide or whatever. Like, well, no, justice is justice. We know, especially an older generation, we know we grew up hearing about how nasty black cops were at times as well too, because black cops felt like they had to blend in, they had to fit in, they had to join the old boy system as well too. They had to show that, hey, I'm putting on this badge says I'm beyond just being black. I have to show exactly who I am. I got to prove my loyalty to you guys as well too. I'm in this fraternity, I'm in this brotherhood, so that goes beyond my race and ethnicity and everything else like that. So you've always had black cops that felt this way. That's not to say all black cops feel this way, because you got a number of great black cops out there, but you do have a number of them. Of course, we always remember the scene from Boys in the Hood when the cops stopped Ricky and Trey, and he pulled out the pistol and put it in basically had it up in Trey's face on there. That's not unheard of. That's not unusual. That happens. That goes on. Like I said, you have a number of these black cops that feel like, hey, I'm part of this. I'm part of a greater brotherhood, and I'm going to show you just how trustworthy and loyal I am by putting my any allegiance I had to black people to the side. And we understand there's knuckleheads that cops have to deal with out there as well too. We know there's all type of people that you have to deal with, but to just beat on this woman the way he did, that goes beyond just explanation. I don't know how you can spin that, how you can twist that or whatever. This dude beat on this woman's face. He choked her. He punched her. She fell face first on the asphalt. She got a tooth was chipped and everything else like that as well too. They were hesitant. It took months for them to actually come out with the actual damn body cam footage. They tried to hide that as much as possible. Shout out to Atlanta Black Star, because they did they actually was doing some digging into this case. It was Atlanta Black Star, and it was the Macon Telegraph that really Macon Telegraph really was the one that went ahead and uncovered this actual story as well too. So shout out to all my people coming up here as well too, man. Once again, we're gonna be digging into this. I hope to hear from. I see my girl Rera up in there as well too. So shout out to Ms. Rera. I definitely want to hear what you got to say as well too. I know some of our people be at work; they can't get a chance to come in immediately and talk. But hey, man, You seeing this, Professor? Like you said, we seeing this every day, and I know you posted it from Atlanta Black Star earlier. Atlanta Black Star is one of our curation partners, so I know you actually posted the one. You posted that off-duty cop getting his behind whooped by the 3 white boys, and I posted that. I came back later on. I posted that. Yeah. So, like, hey, man.
So see, and that's the other side to it, everybody. If you're a black police officer, you also are facing racism yourself within your own department and even outside of your department by society. Who said, well, you still a nigga, though. We don't give a damn about you having on a blue uniform. You still a nigga. And that's what black officers need to understand, too. You still are considered a nigga, even if you have on a police uniform trying to protect and serve.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The brotherhood and everything else that they feel like they tied into as well too. And that's why you do need. It's great to have black cops out there on the beat, but it's even more important to have black cops out there that actually understand the pulse of everything that's going on. They understand. They grew up in the neighborhoods. They grew up around the people, like that. They're just not some hired gun that's coming up in the neighborhood to be basically a slave patroller. They understand exactly what's going on. It's not that whole mentality, shoot first, ask questions later. You out here trying to communicate. You out here trying to talk to the people as well too. But I want to go ahead. Shout out. I see my boy DJ up in here. Big Bird. What's going on? What's up with all of y'all coming up here? Make sure y'all share this space. I see Black Magic on YouTube said, please change the thumbnail. Black Magic, this thumbnail comes directly off our curation partners, Atlanta Black Star, their site. So, this is what it was. I mean, I know it's not the prettiest thing. I know it's not the most appeasing thing to look at, but that's life. It actually went down. It actually happened like that. The sister's face was bloodied up. She got choked out. I mean, I understand how you feel, but hey, I didn't create the actual thumbnail. I did use a thumbnail off the actual post that was curated on the platform. So, no hard feelings, but that's what it is. And I wish the world was, made of sugar and spice and everything nice, but that unfortunately that's not the way it is. And this, and maybe it needs to be seen like this as well too. The world is used to seeing black men get their skulls punched in. They used to seeing that, George Floyd to the dozens of black men that you see that's been, beat to death or shot or whatever throughout the years. You're starting to see an uptick of black women getting ragdoll out here on the streets as well too, So maybe the world needs to see more of that as well too, because the conscience of seeing black men getting whooped on hasn't done anything, and nobody wants to see a woman getting mistreated like that. But when it is a black woman, let's see what kind of sentiment the world shares on that. Let's see if that pulls any heartstrings, anything. What's up, Professor?
Black women are considered like us. People don't have no sympathy for black women getting beat by cops. They don't.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying, Professor, they people need to see that. They need to understand that as well too. That it ain't just Breonna Taylor's situation lets you know that it ain't just black men all out here. Like, we all in this together. So yeah, we have to see that. Nobody wants to see people unalived, and nobody wants to see people tortured and everything else like that. But we're trying to say that, hey, the sisters, they're not getting it to the level of black men. I want to be clear on that, but they getting it. And the fact that they getting it, yeah. So
they really are. That you just said it right there, man, because I was thinking about that too. The uptick that I'm seeing of videos of sisters being beat on, and then let's add in what just happened to the sister Sonia Massey. That and see, you got to think that should have touched a lot of nerves in the nation, right? But but look, I can tell you some of the comments. You'll have white people still saying she was acting belligerent. She was acting crazy. She made that cop do that. See what I'm talking about? So
but Professor, that never worked. That never worked for the white women, because you see them all the time slapping and hitting at the cops, going wild, going crazy, going berserk. You don't see white men. You don't see no white cop just turn around and hit her with a right hook and put her down.
Hey, look, you right about that too, because they be acting. They see white women be cussing them out. But hey, look, white women be trying to kick them and shit. and they still don't do anything to them. I mean, it's crazy, man. But see, all it takes for us, like, we can just ask a question, right? All we have to do is just ask a question, or maybe even not even ask a question, just maybe like Sonya Massey, you just standing over there by your stove, basically turning off the stove, and you just say a little comment like, "I rebuke you," right? And you get unalive for just saying a sentence. See, this is crazy, man. And so this is what I'm saying, man. It's almost like our women, black women, they look at black women as being. I was trying to remember because it was a study done on it. I got to go back and find that study. But I think it's a study that said they look at black women as being harder and tougher than other women. Does that make sense, Newstoter? It was a study done.
Oh yeah. They think that black people in whole have some kind of special skin or whatever that's resistant to punishment, and they think it with black women as well too. They think black women they think as a whole that we're almost animalistic, and we can stand it, we can take it. We don't complain. You guys are made for that, and they believe the same thing about black women.
And so this is why when we think about all the issues that go on with black men, we try to tell sisters this is why you got to be in with us on the racism fight, because they view you the same way they view us. And this is not to say that we don't need to deal with the gender issues of America. Of course we need to deal with those issues. But black women, you are a different type of woman from all these other women out here. You got to deal with the white supremacy, because they gonna unalive you just like they unalive the black man. Now, some people will say the black woman is more protected in this country. I don't agree with that. Never have. And if my mom was alive, she would tell you the same thing. Black women are not protected in this country. They make it look like black women are protected because, this whole thing with this whole democratic thing going on where black women are supposed to get more, and that's all a facade, y'all. It's more black women out here being evicted out of their homes than a little bit. Also, let me tell y'all what's going on. The debt of college debt, right? Who's mainly being impacted by that? Black women. So I'm just saying, these are facades they putting out here to fool y'all to thinking black women are getting better treatment, and it's not true. They're getting the same treatment. They're getting the same treatment, they're just getting it in a different format, if that makes sense to everybody. They're getting y'all in a different format, but they also trying to do it in a way to divide black women from black men. But no, black women are getting the same type of treatment. So.
Oh yeah, real talk. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and dig into this article as well, guys. Shout out to all y'all coming up in the space. Do me a favor, retweet it out for my people that's over there on YouTube. Y'all go ahead and share tonight's broadcast. Let's get some likes up in here. Share your broadcast on Facebook, Instagram, whatever platform you guys on. Share it. We need to go ahead and get this information out as much as possible, guys. So shout out to all y'all up in here. Once again, this is from Atlanta Black Star. Says the title is "Stop for What?" Georgia deputies claim they had to grab black woman by the neck, punch her in the face, and slam her to the ground to defend themselves from verbal insults. Georgia sheriff's deputies claim they never choked Jazzy Rainey before punching her in the face and throwing her to the ground, where she landed face first against the asphalt, chipping a tooth and leaving her nose and mouth bloodied. But body camera footage released last week shows Bibb County Sheriff's Deputy Frederick Gray grabbing the black woman by her neck in a firm grasp before she grabbed his arm and pushed it away from herself. Gray responded by punching her in the face and slamming her to the ground. Rainey filed a lawsuit against Gray in May, accusing him of excessive force as well as assault and battery. But it took almost 5 months for the agency to release the body camera footage, only because the Macon Telegraph newspaper obtained it through public records request. It took them 5 months before they went ahead and this body cam footage got out. Shout out to you, Nightfall. I see you over there. So it took them forever and a day to go ahead and finally release this stuff. The incident took place on June 11th, 2022, after Rainey was involved in a Two-car accident. Bibb County Sheriff's deputies showed up and determined she had been drinking and were ordering her to get into the back of the patrol car, but she kept walking away, demanding to know why they were trying to detain her. She was also insulting Gray, who was black, with racial epithets, calling him a coon and an Uncle Tom. That was when Gray grabbed her by the neck before punching her and slamming her to the ground. A Bibb County Sheriff's spokesperson told the Macon Telegraph that Gray was well within his right to defend himself and perform his lawful duty because her behavior that night could have led any person or officer to believe that a threat is imminent. Sergeant Christopher Williams also told the newspaper that Gray did not choke Rainey, despite the video showing his hand on her neck. Samuel G. Alderman III, the Georgia attorney representing Rainey in the lawsuit, said the video speaks for itself. It accurately documents Deputy Gray's egregious intentional conduct, and it shows Deputy Alvin did nothing to assist or mitigate Deputy Gray's conduct, the attorney said in a telephone interview with the Atlanta Black Star. Although she was initially charged with DUI, prosecutors reduced the charges to reckless driving, to which she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 months probation, according to an online court records. The lawsuit also lists Bibb County Sheriff David Davis and Bibb County Sheriff Sergeant John Alvin as the defendants. Alvin, who was at the scene as Gray's supervisor, is accused of failing to intervene to stop Gray from using excessive force, which the lawsuit states is a violation of her Fourth Amendment rights, according to the lawsuit. Now, you got the doggone supervisor sitting up here, and instead of him coming in there trying to intervene, stop it, pull him off, you don't do this, do that, he just sits back. Defended Alvin's decision to turn a blind eye to defendant Gray's assault on plaintiff and his failure to immediately reprimand his immediate subordinate at the scene, in fact, emboldened defendant Gray to continue using excessive force and to commit an assault on the plaintiff. As a result of defendant Alvin's indifference, defendant Gray punched plaintiff in the face while defendant Alvin looked on without concern. And Sheriff Davis is accused of protecting Gray, who has a history of using excessive force, according to the lawsuit. So Gray apparently has a history, like I said before, of doing this. So this ain't nothing new for him. He's been up to this before. Upon information and belief, defendant Gray has a history of use of excessive force, and defendant Macon Bibb County and defendant Sheriff David Davis failed to follow proper procedure in terminating his employment. As a direct and proximate result of defendant Macon Bibb County and defendant Sheriff David Davis' lack of action against defendant Gray, the plaintiffs suffered damages. But the most damning accusations in the lawsuit are against Gray. Defendant Gray's use of physical force against the plaintiff was objectively unreasonable and grossly disproportionate to any legitimate law enforcement need, such that every reasonable officer would have known would violate plaintiff's clearly established Fourth Amendment rights, included but not limited to defendant Gray putting his hand around the plaintiff's throat, choking her while the plaintiff was not resisting arrest, attempting to flee, and not posing any threat, and defendant Gray punching the plaintiff in the face with a closed fist while the plaintiff was not resisting arrest, attempting to flee, and not posing any threat. Defendant Gray is not entitled to qualified immunity for his use of excessive force in violation of a clearly established law. Earlier this year, two other Bibb County Sheriff's deputies, Quincy Barnes and Frederick Ogletree, were indicted on charges of violation of oath by a public official, aggravated assault, and battery, accused of choking, kicking, and punching a female inmate. So that's where we at. And like I say, the man's actual his boss was actually on the scene while this stuff was going on. And I don't understand why the boss would not have came in there, not to say, you know what, let me go ahead and get in between this, let me separate it, let me stop him from doing anything else. No, the boss went ahead and he allowed this to go on. You know, his superior officer allowed this to go on while the woman was being assaulted. And then not only that, it's pretty much been a cover-up. I mean, the body cam footage, and this happened, what, in 2022? So, I mean, damn. But it took almost 5 months for them to release the actual the body cam footage. So in this entire time, look how long it took before people actually got a chance to see that. The woman's bloody, she's this and she's that. it's just, this is just ridiculous, man. Shout out, I see DJ up in here. DJ, you back up here. Shout out to that Negro as well too. Like I say, you're seeing this every day. And shout out to Atlanta Black Star. Atlanta Black Star, definitely if y'all get a chance, definitely check them out. They put out some great content. They do entertainment and news as well too. But a lot of things that go under the radar for mainstream media in terms of the actual some of the treatment that Black people receive, especially stuff like this right here. They do a pretty good job of detailing it and highlighting it as well too. But now, Professor, like I said, you were in the military. You understand a superior officer. Now, if you're doing something wrong and your superior officer is there and they don't stop it, that must mean they condone it. Am I right?
That's exactly what it means from a military standpoint and from law enforcement standpoint, because I did corrections too, y'all, which corrections is also a part of law enforcement. Even though it's not like the police where you have the arresting powers, you still are considered part of law enforcement. So if you got a superior officer that's standing there watching you beat up on an inmate or you beating up on a possible suspect in a crime or potential stop or whatever, that superior officer is basically condoning it. And to me, they should be just as much held liable for not stopping the abuse. They should be held liable for that because they are the ones that's in charge. They are in command. They're supposed to tell that officer, you cannot go above to beat on this person or to mistreat this person. You have to stop right there. That's the job of a superior officer, to make sure that this person is doing the job correctly according to the law of that state, as well as according to the department policies. If that superior officer is not doing what he or she is supposed to do to stop this officer from abusing a suspect or a person that they have stopped, then they need to have that superior officer suspended or even terminated for not doing their duty. That's how that's supposed to work. But as we see in a lot of these cases, superior officers be on the scene and sometimes they participate in it as well as they will stand by and do nothing. That's basically what it is, total. They stand by and they don't do anything.
And the crazy thing about it too is that you had Sergeant Williams told the newspaper that Gray didn't choke the woman. Of course, that was clearly seen on the actual video cam that the woman got choked out. The Sheriff Davis, he's been sued as well too, because Sheriff Davis, they saying that, hey, he knows that this man had a history of excessive force, yet they allowed him to stay on the actual on the force, and by staying on the force, he was able to go ahead and commit more egregious behavior like what he just did here. So you have, and we sit up here and people talk about only the white cops are being protected too as well, but there's a system of the actual law enforcement in this country as well too, and even the black minions to a certain degree. Now they're gonna put the black minions out there. I mean, they're gonna be cannon fodder, but they will protect them to a certain degree as well too. And they set up here and they allowed this kind of stuff to go ahead. And like I read towards the end of the actual article as well too, this isn't and you had two other people that were indicted on charges, Quincy Barnes and Frederick Ogletree, and they were they got for aggravated assault, battery, and they were accused of kicking, punching a female inmate as well too. So like you say, Professor, that was more on the corrections tip right there as well too. So apparently this department in Georgia has a serious issue with and I'm not gonna just limit it to that department. I think you pretty much say the vast majority of departments in this country have a serious issue with it as well too. We learned years ago that they say white supremacy infiltrated the vast majority of these law enforcement departments in this country as well too. But like I say too, the black cops, we know the history with black cops as well too. And like I said, I don't want to paint a wide brush with all black cops out there, because you do have some good black cops that work in the neighborhood. do charity work, do all kind of things to help out and stuff like that. But there is a segment of black cops out there, man, that will screw you over in a heartbeat. And this dude right here, he appears to be one of them. Apparently, I mean, like I said, he just went slap. He just went slap crazy. He just went slap wild. He just, he putting his hands on this woman. The woman, if he thought the woman was drunk and she wouldn't, just go ahead and arrest the woman. If the woman, she posed no threat to you, and even the article says that at no point in time was this woman at any kind of threat. She wasn't trying to flee. She wasn't trying to attack him. She wasn't resisting. Like, I mean, like what, what's the point of you doing this right here? You hit her with a closed fist. You choke the dog out of her. And then you're sitting up here and act like everything's everything. So I want to know what kind of money she's looking at. I wish we had some of our legal people up in here as well, too, because she's looking at a nice little lawsuit. But also I want to see as well, too, with this black guy here. We see a lot of times with these white officers, once they get in something like this right here, they just pretty much have this internal network where they say, you know what, you got a little bit of heat over here in Columbus. We'll go ahead and we'll move you over here to Macon. We'll get you, we kind of shift. They kind of shift you around, shift you from left to right. You know what I'm saying? You're still in the law enforcement network because even, what's her name? Kim Potter, the one that just got out of jail, I think, for killing, what is his name? Dante Wright. Well, she's up here doing damn lectures and stuff, getting paid money, doing lectures. And she just got out of prison. Like, are you serious? She's doing lectures. Not only that, but I believe she was doing lectures on, and I tweeted that article out too. She's doing lectures on excessive force. So you got somebody who end up killing somebody. They'll say manslaughter. You got somebody end up killing somebody, still on the payroll, doing lectures, talking about excessive force, getting paid. I mean, when people say only in America, this is what they're talking about right here. Only in America can this stuff right here happen. The Flea Dashley says, is he an immigrant? I don't know, if he's an immigrant or not. I think his name is Frederick Gray. I mean, that sounds like a pretty Black American name, but like I said too, we also, I don't know if he's an immigrant or not, but I know he's a POS. I know that much. I don't know if he's an immigrant or he's a Black American or what he is, but I know he's a POS. And I think we can pretty much we pretty much knows what that stands for. So I'm not sure exactly where this dude comes from, but he has some issues here. I mean, he has some serious issues, and I'm sure they're gonna dig a little bit deeper and find out exactly when that lawsuit, depending on the lawyer and stuff, they're gonna dig deep and they're gonna find out exactly about all the issues he had and stuff like that too. And it'll be interesting to see exactly what some of this some of the things on his record, exactly who were most of his targets as well too. So Nightfall said it's possible either way. He ain't spit. I mean, I don't know what he is, but he ain't spit. That's one thing for certain. I see my boy that Negro's up here as well too. No Taxation. What's going on with you is nice. So shout out to No Taxation for her contribution on Cash App. I see my girl Trouble up in here too. So what's up, Miss Trouble? Definitely want to hear from you. I know you're nursing your voice and stuff, but as always, I want to hear what some of our people got to say. I definitely want to hear what some of the women got to say, because we have some of the most intelligent women in any of these Twitter spaces. Definitely, the women that come up in here, they definitely always spitting the facts, and they giving it to you raw and uncut. And I definitely want to hear what they got to say about that as well too. I know my boy DJ's up in here. Oh, Black Pressure, good to see Pressure down there. Benjamin and Rerod, I know when you get a chance, I know you may come up here as well too. Because I know some of our people, and that's another thing I love about our people. They be at work and they still, even if they can't come up here and speak, they still be hanging in that show, hanging up in the spaces and whatnot, tweeting it out, liking it and stuff like that, still giving love as well too. So I definitely appreciate anybody that's got a 9 to 5 or a part-time and you sitting up here and you still riding with us. That definitely means something to us. So I just want to let you guys know that that is not forgotten, that is not lost. And so I definitely appreciate that as well. Even if you say, hey, I'm just passing the time, I appreciate you guys coming up in here showing us love. DJ, what's up? Are you up in the space? I know DJ be doing like a million different things too. DJ, you up in the space? Okay, DJ might be He's in the space somewhere, but he's probably doing something as well too. That Negro, you came up here. Is it something that you wanted to mention about this story as well too?
I was more listening, and I mean, of course, I mean, yeah. Was is this the end of the space, or are we? I was.
Oh no, 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 no. The
Oh,
space,
okay.
no, the space just started. And we start, we start our usual time at 8 o'clock. But sometimes when our people come up, they come up in the speaker section and stuff like that. Even if they don't have their hands up, sometimes I'm gonna ask them like, "Hey, you up here? You want to speak? You want to ask something? It doesn't have to be You ain't got to be long winded, but if you want to ask something, that's cool. If not, if you say, "Hey, I'm gonna just chill for right now," that's not. But no pressure, anything like that. But sometimes we get people that request to come up and stuff like that. I want to go ahead and give them a chance, an opportunity to speak, give them the microphone. Because, like I say, I want to hear what people got to say about that. I may read a couple comments real quick. Let me. I got that article up in the jumbotron. Let me read a couple, because people when they saw that, they was like, "What? No black vote protects you." Says, "What the heck?" We had DRC says, "Got you know what?" Now, me and this person here, Blue Bud, no issues with Blue Bud, but Blue Bud, and I don't like when stuff like this gets politicized, and it's like, oh, this is what Blue Bud wrote: blanket immunity for cops, MAGA proposal. Now, people, my issue with stuff like that is that don't let's not act like this stuff doesn't happen on each side of the aisle. Let's not act like no matter who's president, who controls Congress, who's your governor, your mayor, whatever. Let's not act like this is a Democratic thing or Republican thing. Let's keep it for what it is. This is an American thing. And this has been happening from the time that before this country was founded. Let's not sit up here and play politics and act like, well, this is the America that Trump wants, and this is America right now. This is happening. You can sit up here, and I'm gonna go and read some of the back and forth that me and this person, Blue Bud, had. I told Blue Bud, she says, blanket immunity for cops, MAGA proposal. I said, this is taking place in a Democrat presidency. And this is what Blue Bud said. It's only because of Democrats that you can even see police brutality due to body cam mandates. Cops are prosecuted and convicted today because of it. MAGAs get their way, blanket immunity, but go off. I replied, I said, you're right. Democrat ran cities have never had a history of police brutality, anti-blackness. Let's stop with the BS. I'm trying to find out because I had another it was another fool that was up in the it was another fool that was up in to say no, that Trump started the COVID shutdown brought folks into the streets protesting and juries coming to their senses. Blue Bud says ignorance is bliss. Half of you are just booty clappers for Trump. The body cameras became widely used and mandated because of Democrats who push for police accountability. Now your guy Trump wants blanket immunity for the police. Let me read what else. Dark Goose says nothing about that was a mandate. It was reimbursement for cities that implemented body cams, which most didn't implement until 2016 to 2017. If Trump wanted to stop that, he could have during his tenure. Marcel, not the Marcel we know, but another Marcel say cops get persecuted because of the grassroots efforts of black people in those areas. Why do you have to lie and give Dems credit for things? And I said that definitely makes no sense. Black people get killed every day in Democratic run cities. Then you got Blue Bud once again, because this person does have a Kamala picture as their profile as well. So okay, that explains why these same grassroots efforts resulted in more prosecution and convictions prior to the progressive laws. Both things can be true. Use your brain or get the regressive policies you deserve. Stop and frisk, blanket immunity. Marcel then replied, and like I said, this is not Marcel Dixon, the politician. This is another user named Marcel. What progressive laws? You still talking about body cams? You talking about banning the chokehold? What are you talking about? Blue Bus says, MAGA policies are regressive. Do you support getting rid of body cams? Stop and frisk, blanket immunity for cops. That is regressive policies. Use your brain. Blue Bud also went on to say stop and frisk bans, banning chokeholds, cop accountability task force are all progressive policies. If you want to pretend it's the 1990s and fine going back, then I hate it for you. Marcel then replied, said again, in '07, the FBI said white supremacists have infiltrated all levels of law enforcement across this nation. Why doesn't any party address that? Stop and frisk was probably the idea of a white supremacy police chief or sergeant. Let's read a little bit more comments as well too. Somebody told Bluebud, "You're delusional. Do you know how vanishingly small the percentage of cops who get persecuted is? Most get to quietly resign and their records are wiped. Body cam footage is actually meant to help absolve cops of misconduct. That's why police departments control the footage." It said Bluebud says, "I guess you prefer zero prosecutions like the 1990s. Loitering is good," says, "Honestly, blue MAGAs have become even more delusional than original MAGA. It's truly insane to think Democrats are doing anything about dirty cop. Here's California, the bluest state in the country with the Dem governor supermajority in both legislators." And this was a YouTube video, I guess, that they had linked up to the comments. Huckleberry UT says, "This is like claiming only the left owns slaves. All you MFs are in agreement with our abuse and torment, and has been for centuries. You don't get to point the finger." Black Ghost says, "Cops are persecuted and convicted today because of it. Cops win over 90% of their cases. No point in prosecution without a conviction. Dems are effing worthless." Rail says, "Body cams on cops were meant to trigger black people. How many times have we seen body cams been turned off and cops getting minimal sentences?" Okay. Blue Bud did respond, says, "Okay, so you support getting rid of body cams? Do you support giving cops blanket immunity from prosecution? You support profiling and stop and frisk policy? Then sit back and let MAGA do their thing." Rail says, "You're putting words in my mouth, not going to strengthen your argument. Cops already have immunity. Duh, are you dumb? I ain't answering no more of your question until you answer mine." Let's get to some more replies. This cat, Ron Roski, this guy was LGBT, Ron Rozuski. And y'all can check out it's in a Jumbotron. He says, I guess he was replying to me, saying, "What does the presidency have to do with local cops are doing? If they did anything, it would just be struck down by the courts like they always, and people call it communism. Like always, Trump would get away with giving blanket immunity as he has the Supreme Court on his side. See the difference?" I mean, I'm like, how in the hell has Trump got the Supreme Court on the side when Trump ain't even in office? And I told him, I said, what the hell does a man that's not even in office have to do with it? Let's not pretend that Biden has been an advocate against police violence against black people. Then he replied, he says, "And you didn't address my question. How does the Biden admin have any control over what a local police department is doing on any given Sunday?" I said, "Apparently you didn't address mine. If Biden doesn't have anything to do with it, how in the hell could Trump? What you said literally makes no sense." And this joker just kept going back and forth, back and forth. And then he sat up here, and once again, that's why I said you have to be careful sometimes with these people and these certain groups that talk about they're in these repressed groups and stuff like that, because they'll play victim in a minute. He'll say, "What a lie, be specific." And this is really low of you to put it that way. "I'm very much against police brutality of any form, and I find it appalling that you're playing games." I told him, "You're playing political games with black Americans. Both these parties are to blame for police brutality. I find you to be a liar and supporter of white supremacy." And I told him to get the hell out of my mentions as well. And then you got I don't know who the heck this was. "How are you this whoever this is, Halloween Baby?" She has something to say smart. "How are you this incompetent? So are you going to vote for Trump? Republicans that want to give police immunity, meaning body cameras will be irrelevant and no justice would ever be served in favor of the civilian." I mean, this is from a black person as well too. Somebody just put their hands up with a like sign, like, oh my God, over their head. And the Republican J99 says, "A Republican candidate wants to give cops full immunity." So you got all these people sitting on here talking about all what the Republican people want to do and this and that or whatever. Yet under these Democratic, from Obama on all the way, you've always had just straight up police brutality. Yet somehow, some way, it's only Republican people that actually want to do something. I mean, it's only Democrats that want to do something. If that's the case, back from the time when Bill Clinton was president in the 90s, then how come we didn't get rid of all the police brutality then? Why has it just continued to fester over the years? Since 92, we've had who? Bill Clinton served 2 terms. You had what's another Democrat? You had then Obama. Obama served 2 terms. You got Joe Biden serving a term now. So if it's only this stuff is only happening, I mean, why didn't they get rid of police immunity back in the actual 1990s? Since it's only it's a Republican this and that or whatever. Professor, go ahead and unmute your mic. You got it.
See, and that's absolutely crazy, Toto, because I want everybody to understand how the police ended up with qualified immunity. It was given by the Supreme Court. It was not even done by law or legislation by Congress. It was done by the Supreme Court that gave them the qualified immunity along with judges and prosecutors. That's who did that. So if you want to get it removed, it would be the Supreme Court that you would try to go back through to get it removed. That would actually be the smartest way to do it, because that's who gave it. So I want everybody to understand that's how police ended up with qualified immunity. Not through legislation. And so when I hear people talking about Trump gonna give them blanket immunity, they already have that through the Supreme Court. So these people are trying to use scare tactics, told police already have the immunity to do what they want to do. So I'm going to leave that right there.
Well, not only that, Professor, but let's think about this here logically. If the Democrats would just die hard against police immunity, then why isn't that one of the biggest issues they're campaigning on in this election cycle right now? What they're talking about a woman's right. They're talking about abortions. They're talking about all this other stuff. If they were that big on getting rid of police immunity, why wouldn't that be just as big a battle cry for them as all the other stuff that they're trying to go ahead and get passed? I mean, if it's to that point that they were so dead set against it, that they had seen the error of their ways and they felt like this would make America better and everything else. How many in that debate? How often did Kamala Harris say, you know what, getting rid of police immunity is one of the biggest issues that we face in this country, and it's one of the things that I don't hear them constantly talking about that. You know, that's put to the back burner. In fact, when she gave her little thing the other day, we was talking about her little agenda for black men. Do you remember police immunity being mentioned in there anywhere?
I don't remember seeing anything. She did not bring that subject up, and that is a very important subject to our community.
So yeah, don't sit up here and lie. And then you got these black people sitting up here. This is kind of a head scratcher. You got black people sitting up here. Let's be honest here. The little bit of stuff that's happened since the actual George Floyd protest was because people were out there just tearing stuff up. Not one thing before then. These people didn't come out the kindness of their heart and say, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and this and that. And not only that, all of this so-called police reform and everything else that was supposed to take place after George Floyd, how much of that is really taking place? Now, they'll sit up here and they'll say, well, you know, we tried to get this passed through Congress with the mean old nasty Republicans. They blocked it. They tried to stop it and this and that, and we just couldn't do it or whatever. Even when Democrats have complete control of the White House and they have the Congress and everything else like that, it's always something keeping them from doing something. You know, they just can't go ahead and do it. It's always the Republicans stop them from this. They backstab them on this or whatever. So it's always something. But I don't hear anything coming from the Harris campaign saying, you know what, we're going to get rid of qualified immunity. I don't see all of the ads and stuff running on TV. Most of the ads I see running is talking about abortion rights. You know, that's the thing that they saying, hey, we're gonna champion, we're gonna get behind women, we're gonna use y'all, we're gonna talk about a woman's right to choose, we're gonna talk about abortions. That's what we're gonna talk about. They're even trying to steer clear of immigration as much as possible as well, too, because they feel like, hey, that's a topic that they're getting beat on as well. So now they'll sit here and say, well, you know, Trump, he stopped us from doing this and that or whatever. I don't understand how a man who's not even in office has the kind of power that you got people sitting up here talking about he controls the Supreme Court justices and this and that or whatever. Like, this dude's not even in the White House. This dude's not even in office. Now, if he was in office, that'd be one thing. Oh, he made sure they wouldn't pass this or he wouldn't pass that. Like, stop. He made sure they wouldn't pass this or they wouldn't pass that. And this man's not even in office right now. So I want to know exactly when are they gonna start talking about this qualified immunity? Because you can tell by some of those comments I read, you got all these people sitting up. Oh, well, they'll get rid of. Listen, before there was ever damn body cam footage being out there in the 90s, Professor, you and I know you had the people occasionally you'll get a somebody with a camcorder. That's how we saw the Rodney King thing. Okay. We saw the Rodney King thing on somebody had a camcorder. They just so happened to be there, and Rodney King got the crap beat out of him. Same when you look at some of the stuff in the 60s, you see the water hoses, you see the canines being sicked on people. No body cam footage. But here's the thing: body cam footage or no body cam footage, black people are still getting their behinds whooped out there. You know. So what are we talking about? If you got rid of body cam footage, is that going to stop? Is that going to stop the actual police brutality that's going on in this country? It's not going to stop it one bit. And I'm just, like I said, I just don't even understand what these people are talking about at this instance right here. This woman here, this black woman, she's not the last one that's going to get her head knocked around either. She's not. Every couple weeks, every couple months, you hear that some black woman, because we know black men, every day they getting beat up. But you starting to see these black women pop up more and more in these stories and stuff like that. And even with the body cam footage and this and that or whatever, people are still giving you a million excuses why you can't do it. The police department sitting up here and talking about that you're going to get sensitivity training and you're going to spend more money in this and that, and you're going to do community outreach and all that kind of stuff. That hasn't knocked down any numbers of police brutality whatsoever. Are you going to invest a couple hundred million more into this and that, whatever? And it still hasn't deterred it in the least bit. You still got this situation going on. And like I said, I gave the example of the Kim Potter lady getting out, doing lectures, making money. I mean, she just got out of jail. She got slapped on the wrist for killing Dante Wright as well too. So I mean, people say it was a mistake. She didn't mean to or whatever. Yeah, a mistake or not, she still took somebody's life. So I really don't know. I see I see Minister X. She says because it's all a dirty game. Yeah, it's a dirty game. I mean, it's definitely a dirty game. Oh, Pressure, I didn't even see you was up here. What's going on tonight with you, Pressure?
Hey, what's up with it, fam?
What's up? What's up?
Pressure, how you doing, bro?
You there, Pressure? He was just here. He had his hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's good to see all y'all. And just real quick, I'm listening just to further solidify your point. I'm sure you remember in the mid '90s when New Orleans had that federal swoop, and they arrested all those corrupt cops that was selling dope, and that was actually ordering protection for the drug dealers. They actually had two cops that ended up on New Orleans cops that ended up on death row, but they interviewed a lot of disgraced cops from that FBI suite, and they talked about the Rodney King video, and they said when we saw that we laughed. And the interviewer said, why did y'all laugh? He said that wasn't a big deal to us. He said we did that to people every day in the street. So just to further solidify your point, I'll mute up and listen.
Appreciate that, Pressure. Let me read a comment. I see Big Bird said, I saw the video, which is crazy. Black cop is still going to be punished far more quickly than a white or non-black cop. That's true. Aeon said that's what happens when you sign up to be part of white supremacist terror squad. I see Minister X. He says it's time to police our own. They don't have any rights that we don't allow, and we need to make sure that there are consequences to their behavior. Everything that you guys say, I agree with as well too. And I constantly say that you need to have your own. This guy's black, but you got to go ahead and you got to have you got to have black people out there that's not going to act like this dude right here. Go ahead, Professor.
And I want to say Big Bro made a good point in the comments section right there about about the fact that the black police officers would be punished most likely before the white officers. Uh, Very true, because as we saw with the Tyree Nichols story in Memphis, as soon as that story broke, family, if you remember, you had white people talking about those black officers need to be put away and locked up and don't have to keep going away. Like, white people were jumping on this, y'all. And I was like, well, now, how about they do that same thing when it comes to these white officers when they shoot black Americans in the back, or they shoot unarmed black Americans? See, I would love to see them do that when we getting shot by one of their white officers. But when these black officers did what they did, white people jumped all over social media. Oh, they were just nasty. They need to be thrown in jail. The key need to be thrown away. They need to be put in the death chair and all this type of stuff. Like, I was like, now why is white people caping for this situation, for these brothers that are police officers, that was police officers, to be punished severely, but they would not do the same thing when it comes to these white officers who do the same thing. So that tells you all of this stuff is based on white supremacy racism. They want the white officers to be able to get away with what they do, which white people just want to get away with doing whatever to us anyway. So they will sit there and find justifications for what these white officers do. But if a black officer gets caught up, they want those officers locked up, okay? So that tells you the hypocrisy, and black officers need to understand when you get into this system of being in law enforcement, you're not loved. You're not liked. They still consider you to be black and a nigger, okay? You're considered to be a black person that just so happens to be in a uniform, but they don't like you. They don't love you. And there's black officers that have even talked about the racism that they face in these police departments. So I want everybody to understand, on the flip side of this, these black officers that go into these departments, they're facing a lot of racism themselves, which is why I wouldn't want to be in those departments. And because, I told you, I was in corrections, and I saw it. I saw how the black officers get treated versus the white officers in correction, which correction is an extension of law enforcement. So it's the same thing, because the training that we went through in corrections is the same type of training that I had to go through really with the state troopers. Our training was the same type of training. Also, because I also was in the military, my training was short because of my military training. But I just want everybody to understand the racism that's within the department when you are a black officer. And also when it comes to how we see the uptick of black women, I want everybody to understand this has already been going on. This is not something recent, by the way. There have been situations where black women been beat, some even been killed by police officers, so that's nothing new neither, by the way. It's just now we're seeing social media put an eye on everything. But black women been getting beat up in this country, man. They've been getting beat up and killed and everything. I keep telling y'all, man, black women are looked upon as the same as black men. They are an extension of black men. Because white society see black women as being hard, like men. They see y'all the same way. Now, black women are being booed by the Democratic Party as being above black men, but that's a facade. Because they're playing you for fools. And that's what black women got to understand. You're being played for a fool. Because this society as a whole, white supremacy society, don't care about black women issues. Never have, never will. Just like they don't care about ours. But I'm going to land right there.
All right, Professor. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to that Negro. That Negro, go ahead and unmute your mic. What's going on tonight?
Yes, sir. Newstoter, as always, man, thank you. Great space, great subject. Sorry about not wanting to. I try to get up here and be concise and kind of, as concise as possible and say what I mean what I say. But I've definitely got my thoughts together. Salute to you. Salute to Professor and DJ as usual. And peace, power, and American Negro reparations to the rest of the world, specifically for the Black American Negro freedmen who built this country with slave labor, per the lands promised in Special Field Orders 15, January 16th, 1865. Question of the room: Black cop severely beats Black woman over being called a coon. This was, as I was sitting here kind of reflecting on what I was going to say, I think the simplest and most concise way I can say this is don't act like a coon and we won't call you a coon. It's a new day. It's a new dollar. We are seeing them for what they are, and we're calling it out. And I think, first of all, kudos to the sister that was out there and standing on her square. Yes, I definitely hope she heals up, and I definitely hope that I wouldn't even call him an officer, that man, that POS gets what he has coming to him. But I think she did exactly what we all should do in your city councils, in your to the police officer that pulls you over, to the judge that is sentencing you, or your family, to the what else could there be? To the teacher that is discriminating against you because of your color, because of being the foundation builders, the original foundation builders of this country. If you're getting hated on because of that, say something. You have to. We have to call it out. We have to say something. And I believe that's what this sister was doing. She was simply like a strike. And with a lot more, I think, and it's becoming realer and realer every day that we're in here. We're going to say what we're going to say back. We're going to do it respectfully, but we're going to tell you the truth from now on. If you're from the soil, if you're from the grassroots, one of us, you're going to know that you're dealing with the real one, and that we're going to call you out and call it what it is. Me personally, I'll speak for myself. I'm going to take what I get for that, and I'm kind of in the position where I wish they would, because somebody has to rile this situation and galvanize all of our support across the country to make this true change. Only we can do it. Only we are going to do that. Everyone else that are going to be true co-defendants and real allies, they'll come along. Like, they might not see it until it's in their face. But the point is, the time is now to stand up. And again, kudos to the sister that stood up and called a coon exactly what he was, a coon. And again, thank you for letting me sit up here and speak once again. And I appreciate the space, man. Share the damn space, in the words of my brother Irie.
Absolutely. Thank you, that Negro. Thank you. Thank you. I want to add something. I see my girl Rel up here, so let me get to her real quick. But Professor, what you were saying, that you had the white people that were jumping on it like, oh, yeah, about the Tyre Nichols situation. White people want to gauge our temperature. They want to gauge how our reaction was. They want to know, well, are they only upset when there's white cops that do this? Or how are they when a black cop do it? So that's really what they want to know. They want to know, hey, you guys make a big stink when you got a group of white cops beating on a black person or killing them or whatever. How do you feel about when it's one of your own? Because the comments that they were putting out as well too, talk about even black people are tired of black people and stuff, because they lay out some racist comments now. Even in that article that I tweeted out today about the the off-duty cop getting beat up by the hit with racial slurs by the white boys and stuff like that. You got a bunch of white people that's up in the comments say, "Oh, you didn't tell the whole story. You didn't tell. It's more to the story, right?" Like no matter what happens, and it could be on videotape. You could have a black person get their head chopped off. Well, why didn't you show the entire videotape? What did he do to deserve that or whatever? So it's always something like in their mindset, anything that a black person gets, and that's not all white people, but too many of them, anything that a black person gets, they deserve. They deserve it. They had it coming. They must have did something. They weren't abiding by the law. They were some kind of threat or whatever. They deserved it. So that's how they felt. It wasn't so much that hey, they wanted justice for Tyree Nichols. They want to see exactly, are black people just hypocrites? Do you guys only care when it's coming from outside the community, or do you have that same kind of energy when it happens? So that's really what it was about. Now they'll sit up here and say, "Oh, it was horrible," and this and that or whatever. And I'm sure a good number of them feel that way as well too. But a whole lot of them want to see exactly what's that reaction. Let's see how black people react to this. It's one of your own doing it. So how do you feel about that? So that's really what it was about, Professor. To be honest. Rella, how you do? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Pressure, real quick.
Do you remember this real quick? I think it was the guy in Florida that was on his back on the concrete with his hands up in the air. No, I don't care if he was Clint Eastwood. He couldn't have done anybody anything. And that lawman shot that dude that was taking care of those elderly people.
I don't remember that. It's so much that go on in Florida. Damn, I can't remember.
Miami, I think I know what you're talking about. The dude was laying on the ground and he was helping a disabled gentleman. And
he took care of old people.
Yeah, he took care of old people or a disabled person or somebody. But it was in that video, the cops still shot the man. And that's the one you're talking about. Right? It was down in Miami, right? Pressure. I think that's what you're talking about, Miami.
Yeah, I think it was Florida. I think it was. You could YouTube it.
Yeah, it's so Pressure. To be honest, it's so much that goes on in the state of Florida with that kind of stuff. Hell, it's not only that, but nationwide, it's so hard to remember. I think I vaguely remember, but I see so much of this stuff all the time that honestly, man, it's getting hard for me to remember the names and the situations because, I mean, on the Newstoter site, you're gonna see at least probably about anywhere from about just throughout a year's time, you're gonna have at least about 50, at least a good 50 to 75, maybe 100 cases like this. And I kid you not, like, so it is really, really hard for me to actually keep up with all this stuff as well too. That's why sometimes, man, I gotta kind of just take a break from it. Like I just the actual just seeing this stuff day in and day out. Been doing this for 7 years, and it's just like, I got to kind of like pull back sometimes because you really, really get involved in this stuff like that. So shout out to anybody out there that's dealing with this. But after a while, sometimes it does kind of bother your psyche. And you have to find a way to press on. But sometimes you just kind of need a way just to, I don't know, to decompress from some of the visuals and the actual just madness that's going on and stuff like that. Shout out to you, Miss Rella. I see you. I see that you posted the Atlanta Star article, and that's the same article for the actual conversation that we're having tonight. So what's up with you, Rella?
Hey, Newstoter. Hey, Professor and DJ. Shout out to everybody in the room.
What's up, Rella? How you doing?
Thanks.
You all right, Rella? You sound like you. I don't know. You sound a little different tonight.
Just a little cold. I think just trying to kick it. So my head hurt a little bit, but I was reading the article as you were talking because I wanted to kind of get my sea legs under me and make sure I could get my talking point straight. But I noticed that so she was involved in a car accident, right? So two things, probably she was probably delirious and she was charged with a DUI, but the DA dropped the charges down to just reckless driving after seeing the video. And I think they did that too because the video was very egregious. Now, if the car accident was caused her to even have any type of, experience any type of delirium or anything. So she's not in her right mind, right? So you're telling me here it is again. We're looking at police officers who seem to only want to practice humanity when it comes to certain individuals, and it is a racial thing, Professor. And the sad part about it is we have those particular types of police officers even in our community. And for some reason, we don't want to talk about it. Good cops, bad cops, and cops that have to defend themselves even against some of our people that act degenerate, and they have to get a little bit more aggressive or physical in a sense. But this case, this woman was literally just being not combative, but she was kind of, you could just tell she wasn't fit. She wasn't there as he's talking to her. So he's trying to tell her to get into the back of the police car. And she says, for what? For what? Like, to me, does she even realize she's been in a car accident? Or let's sit you down. Like, de-escalate the situation was not in the cards. So she turns around and she's talking to him, and he grabs her by the throat. She doesn't call him a coon until after he slams her face into the cement and busts her face up. She's bleeding profusely. The sergeant was there. His sergeant, which was another black man, was there. And the reason why I'm framing it that way is because this is where the paintbrush has to stop at them two. And it has to be, we're talking about them two. These were two black men who had no care for her, number one. Number two, there is something about people, whether it is a black man or a woman, where they have this thing about people challenging them when they're, as police officer or in a position of authority. We see it even in our conversations with, this whole political landscape that's happening now. So you see how it's played out physically. There was no care for that woman. Whether or not she was in the wrong or not, you telling me you gonna now send her to the hospital, her face got to be all busted up because then after you didn't like the fact that she would not respond to you. Your functional thinking at the time is not, this woman is not in her right mind. I got to figure out a way to get her to calm down and sit her down, because she's going to try to either get in her car. She's doing something. I need to sit her down. And the way you sit her down is you bust her up in her face, and then you still manhandle her after she calls you a coon. The sergeant stands over her. And in the report, the sergeant's report to the DA is he justified his the deputy's force because the deputy was defending himself against her words. Now, when you align that with what happened to Tyree Nichols, whatever the case were, I know it came out like somebody was saying he was messing with one of the guy's woman or something like that, and the guy set him up to get, severely murdered pretty much. And when you look at how even the white cop in that scenario wasn't highlighted, but all the cops who participated never stopped. They never said, I'm not doing this, ain't right. I'm not going to commit harms against my own people. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like we're fighting multiple wars every time we have to deal with degeneracy when it comes from people either in law enforcement or from our community who aren't in law enforcement, or when it comes to politics or just in general, walking down the street. There is no care, none. And so now she has a lawsuit out, and a lawsuit out against the sergeant and the deputy, as she should. Now, I don't know what happened with the car accident thing because they couldn't even elaborate on what happened, because you're looking at this video and seeing this woman literally busted all up in the face, handcuffed. She was handcuffed after he busted her in the face. She was handcuffed after she was on the ground. And that's when she called him a coon. She wasn't calling him a coon and out his name before then. None of that is in the video. All the epithets And that one, it was only that one because they said it was multiple. And if she was cussing or whatever, a lot of people do that. Hell, white people run around here butt naked, and they will be either running from the cops, acting like they, in a circus, and the cops somehow take them unscathed. They're not hurt. You don't see their face busted up in the cement, And I'm trying to understand, what is it about us when people become law enforcement or get into law enforcement that we got to be mishandled so badly that we put in the hospital or even death? No other group goes through that. Latinos will say, oh, we're going through the same thing that happens to us. Well, from all the cases that make the media or headline news, they're always majority Black Americans or Black people. You do not see that happening to no other group in high numbers. And it's just, I'm like you, Newstoter, it gets to be a bit much. It really does. And I don't know what else to say after that, because it just seems like it's something has to give. I don't know. I don't know what to say after that, because I think what I want to say, I don't know if I can. Probably not on YouTube.
All right, Miss Rella. I appreciate you coming up here as always. So we got a number of you guys up in here, so feel free to come on up here. I'm surprised Miss No Taxation hadn't come up here. Go ahead. Real quick, pressure. But those that can, guys, we got that community here on X. Go ahead. It's up in the Jumbotron. It's on the far left-hand side. Go ahead and join that community. Join that community, guys. Become an actual member of that community. Support us on Cash App for those that can. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. Also, we have the membership. I looked at the actual membership. We hadn't had anybody actually join the platform in about 4 or 5 months, guys. For as little as $1.75, you can support us monthly. You don't have to worry about Cash App or PayPal or anything. And you can support for as low as $1.75. Trying to make it ultra affordable for our people and stuff like that. You ain't got to worry about it. It's automatic a payment renewal. So we're definitely looking for that support. Once again, $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. We got the PayPal up in the Jumbotron and everything else as well too. I see we got a new person up here, Corn. I'm not sure who you are, Corn. Are you coming to speak? Or are you coming to do what? What's up?
Yes, I just came to speak. I just wanted to go by and answer that girl's question why the cops continue to beat us. You look up history, the slave master used to hire bounty hunters to catch slaves that are alive. That's where the slave patrol came from for law enforcement. So I just want to answer her question, reason why.
Yeah, I'm definitely a woman, not a girl.
Oh, I'm sorry, Queen. My bad. My apologies. And I just want to just go on from there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Corn. No problem. Black Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic again.
So look, I'm gonna pick on you. So you and I are, I guess we pretty practically almost the same age. So
yep.
You would remember. I remember seeing this as in my early teens on one of the big TV stations. Remember in the 80s and 90s, white academia would they would hide behind behavioral science, and they would always try to psychoanalyze black people as a race, namely black men, and they would always say, are black men predisposed to to be criminals, and or is there something intrinsically wrong with black people at birth to cause them to commit all this crime? And they literally would hide behind behavioral science to, of course, you know what they're doing. They're caricaturizing, black people. Of course, they had the power of the media. So, like I said, they would use the media to propagate all this nonsense, and they would, propagandize black people with, asking those questions, hiding behind behavioral science. But I I've done this before too, personally. I've always said, what makes one want to be a cop? You really have to ask that question, and I'll speak from personal experience. I went to school with guys that are police officers now. Two, namely, that I knew from childhood, like middle school on up. One of the guys that's a cop, his name is Jeffrey, right? I saw this with my own eyes. I saw this dude get into it with a guy that he was larger than. This is when we were in high school. He was larger than this dude. When I tell you this dude cocked back and slapped, I mean, he penitentiary slapped Cuz straight across his face. Bam. The whole class got quiet. You know, that bastard didn't do anything. And now he's a cop. Another guy I've been knowing since I was young. He's a cop now. His name is Shannon. In front of a group of 20 of his of his friends, his peer group. He got into it with a dude, and the dude stood up, and we was at a basketball game. Dude stood up in front of everybody. Of course, I have to say this as G-rated as possible, but the dude stood up and said, "He's the B. I'll beat your MFNA in front of everybody here, and I dare you not to like it." Didn't do anything. He's a cop now. I've always said people that desire to be cops you're gonna find these people mostly when you psychoanalyze people like that, people that are socially awkward and people who never had respect in their youth. Those are the type of people that end up being police officers. And I'll mute up and listen.
And people always say that a good amount of police officers was bullied in high school or this and that and stuff like that. We've always heard that. Let me ask you this real quick too, Pressure, because I'm not disputing that. Do you think in terms of in these black communities, our black neighborhoods and stuff like that, do you think we need people out there that look like us that's actually protecting and serving the actual community as well too?
Good question. I would say yes, but with an asterisk, it's a slippery slope. I think just like how we frame politics and we say that, okay, this black face doesn't represent us and someone else chose him to present to us. I think that's what that's what we ought to do with people we choose to rule over us, is we should pick them. Because it's easy to have a black face. What's that person's ideology? You know what I'm saying? What's that person's temperament? Like, is he a coward? What you have, like I say, when you ask what makes a person want to be a cop, these questions have to be addressed. And of course, I'm making sure because I know other people want to speak, but that's a hell of a question you just asked. So I'll mute up and listen.
Real talk. But I'm glad you answered, and that's for the entire room as well too. It goes along with the topic we're talking tonight, because we know the actual cop that did this to this woman was a black man as well too, and I can imagine being a cop today with the actual temperament and the actual everything that's been going on, especially just the past 5 years or so, the way you may be viewed by the black community as well too. And this woman, and like Rella said, she they reduced it to reckless driving, but she initially got hit with a DUI. The lady could have still been under the influence or whatever, but she called him an Uncle Tom. She called him a coon as well too. So you have to wonder about the psyche of somebody that's supposed to be out there, quote unquote, to protect and serve, but at the same time, you're in a profession that a lot of black people have no trust in you whatsoever, just from the historical injustices that's been heaved on us by police officers. A vast majority of the community detests cops, and it's.
Hey, when you get through, I got one more thing.
Okay, but yeah, a vast majority, and not all, but I should say a significant amount of black people, they have no trust in police officers just based off of the actual history of police officers. Go ahead, Pressure, though.
Hey, just real quick, I'm gonna pick on you just because I'm on the mic. You're on the mic. I'm gonna ask you this question, but you can pose it to everybody.
No, I want to go. I'm just joking.
And how many times have you, and I'm asking you, but like I say, I'm really asking everybody in the room, how many times in your personal life have you seen someone you knew personally that was a BAN, and I know I'm in your room, so I can't say what I want with you. We all know what BAN stands for, right? Who was a straight witch, a nig, right? And you saw him years later, and he was a cop. You say, man, I know this nigga ain't no cop. This punk nigga, I can't tell you how many times I've said that in my adulthood. I've seen people I hadn't seen in 15, 20 years, and they cops. So I say, this punk ass nigga a cop. And I'll mute up and listen.
I'm trying to think if I went to school with any. I can't think because I ain't seen a lot of the people I went to school with in 20 some odd years. But I wouldn't be surprised because you always hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised that, hey, so and so may have grew up to be a cop or whatever. But I know too they get a good amount of people that was actually, like Professor was saying, actually, because they try to get a lot of people that was in the military to actually go into law enforcement as well too. But that's always been the thing. Like I say, that you've always had it where people felt like, hey, the people that end up, a lot of them that end up going into law enforcement, in particular being police officers and stuff like that, a lot of them had, issues, like you say, with respect and everything else growing up, especially in high school or whatever. So, I mean, what you're saying, Pressure, I really, I can't disagree with it 100% as well, too. I mean, I just think that, we're going to have people that's out there that's supposed to be protecting the Black community. They have to have our interests. They have to have our best interests at heart as well, too. I'm going to let Relly, because I know she wants to speak. And anybody else down here in the listener section, guys, feel free to come on up here. Aunt Lyde, I know you weren't a cop or anything, but you were in the law enforcement and everything else as well, too. So feel free to come on up here and speak. Once again, guys, like I said, we do need that support. So for those that can support us on Cash App, even if it's as little as $1, we need it. For those that can sign up to the actual platform, we got to drum that as well too. We need that membership for as little as $1.75. You can support a Black-owned business. Let me go ahead and get to Miss Rella. Rella, go ahead.
You know what I learned Newstoter, to Blood Pressure's point. I learned that people who make, I think, great cops or who do well in law enforcement, they are active in the community. You see them serving in the community in other capacities, either if it's they're teaching or coaching or, they're helping, their community within their communities. I've learned that those people make great law enforcement officers. The ones that seem to, like Pressure's point, become police officers or overzealous cops who were teased or, they didn't feel like they had power over someone. And they're now utilizing, qualified immunity or immunity in policing or police law enforcement. They seem to be the ones that fall in line with whatever the blue line matter, blue line culture, to the point where they seem to believe that there is this separate veil that they live under, which honestly has been given to them by Congress and the Supreme Court, yes, but also you could tell that they have no respect for the communities they serve in, and a lot of the cops don't serve in the same communities they live in. I remember having a conversation at a board meeting, and I asked the cop that was in our community, why do they serve in areas where they don't live in? And the cop said, because I got to go home to my neighbor. That's what he said. He said, I have to go home to my neighbor and see my neighbor. And he said it would be odd to arrest my neighbor knowing that I have to go home and I live next door to him. That to me was like, wow. So it's easier for you to go to other communities and batter and bruise or police other communities because you don't have a fear of harming them because you don't live around them. That says something. And that goes back to even the mindset of in the question you asked earlier, should we have police officers that look like us? Of course. But should we be able to have some sort of oversight? I think to Black Majority's point, where we also know them and have the relationships with the people that are in law enforcement? I think so. They're having a conversation now always about how they can create better, community relations, or maybe start hiring people that live or from the community. Maybe stop trying to go outside the community and hire people that don't or are not from the community or have no care for the community. That might solve half of that issue. And I think we should do away with qualified immunity, because I do believe that if you start putting up boundaries, meaning that if you kill or harm someone or you beat someone brutally, your bond should be revoked. Meaning police officers have a bond. All government officials that serve on the city, state, and federal level, they have a bond, and their bonds should be revoked. They definitely should be. They should be able to lose their pension, because to me, you literally have a high profile profession that is stressful, yes, but you are picking that profession. You want to rule in that profession. It's not like what you see on TV. It's real life. You can lose your life and you can take a life. So I believe that the stakes should be a lot higher, and the demand for what we want to see in having someone in that position, the requirements to stay there should be a lot higher. Now, I know people don't like I think the conversation law enforcement is they don't like the fact that they got to have degrees and stuff like that. But I don't know. Some of them need psychology, something. They need some other training, because they're failing in that area. And then they're turning it into we weren't trained to have a socialization with the community. It's beyond me. It makes me think like, so when you go home to your family, do you talk to them? Do you have a relationship with your family? Do you have a relationship with your community? Do you talk to your neighbors? Or you just go home, sleep, get up, go back to work? You understand what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with talking about both. If you a shitty cop, you a shitty. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Don't do that, sweetie. We go ahead.
You're a bad cop. And if you are a cop that is for the community, you are involved in the community, and in that capacity, I can respect that. And I'll just land it there.
All right. Thank you, Rella. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to that Negro. Melissa, I see you up here as well, too. If you want to speak, just raise your hand and we'll get to you as well. But that Negro, go ahead. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, just to really is piggybacking off of what Rella said, kind of accentuating it a little bit more. I think this points in all of these circumstances points to exactly why we need our own community, our own police force, our own people that really do care for that community, because they are that community. I think if you have officers that look like you, being an ex-knucklehead, I think having officers that look like you and come from areas where you come from, I think that makes things a lot less tense and a lot less dire, in some circumstances. I know back in the knucklehead days, there were times running for the police or, something, driving a car, fast, high-speed chases, whatever, running from the police. You literally get addicted to that high almost of the adrenaline pumping through your veins. So if we get like that as a criminal, don't they got to get like that as a force? And is that force coming from a spot of white supremacy? And if it is, that's a problem. And that's why we need our own government. Eventually our own government. But we need, when it comes to punishment, it needs to come with a velvet glove. which means, you know, it's a glove. It'll get you, and it might sting, but it ain't gonna hurt you. It's not gonna have our people if they get in a tussle, you know, within our people. They're not gonna shoot and kill you. 9 times out of 10. Now, if you force them to do that, that's a police officer's job. So, not that I can really agree with that, but if it's your life or his, I understand. Like, hey, he got to do what he's got to do. No matter where I sit today, I would never want to see any of our people die. If that could be a possible, you know, if that could be a possibility, I would hope for that. But, you know, in a circumstance where a police officer, especially one of our police officers that are coming from a black majority state frame of mind, they're going to be doing their job with love. And we as the community will have to hold them accountable to that. And so, again, this just is another circumstance which points directly to the black majority state theory and coming together as a collective to take care of our people, even the criminal ones that have issues and knuckleheads, because, I mean, that's going to happen. You know, it's going to happen. But instead of killing our people off every chance they get, if it's us being the police and helping our people get through whatever they're going through, the outcomes are going to be a lot more favorable, especially for our numbers and our collective and our loved ones. I mean, really, that's what they are, right? So whether they're a knucklehead or not, we still love them, and they still family. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to kind of, like I said, piggyback off Rella and kind of add a little bit, you know, put some stank on it. And I'll land right there. Thanks, Newstoter.
All right. Thank you, that Negro. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Melissa. Melissa, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. So, there's this lawyer named John Burris who had. Are you hearing me okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have my mic muted. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He wrote a book called Blue versus Black. He deals with a lot of police brutality cases in Oakland, and he said that that a lot of these cops, a lot of black police officers who are killing people, who are beating people, that they are internalizing white supremacy, you know, white racist views, so that their white colleagues will accept them. You know, he also said that that police officers that tend to not go out there like vigilantes, that they usually have college degrees, they're coming from larger areas, you know, as opposed to rural areas. And a lot of them were never in the military. Okay. So it might be a good idea if we maybe, like Rella was saying, send some of these people to college before they become cops, you know, or not take people, you know, because when you join the military, and this isn't to put on anybody who's been in the military, but, you know, they basically are teaching you to kill people, you know? I mean, that's the whole point. And then you get out of the Marines or the Army, and, you know, you have that in you. You have that desire to still hurt people. So then what do? You become a police officer. And then Big Berg also said earlier in the comments about how black cops are punished more quickly. I had an incident with a police officer years ago. It ended up being sexual harassment, and they gave me the opportunity to do a hearing to determine his fate, if he would remain on the force or not. I don't want to go through a long hearing, so I said no to that. And he wasn't black, he was Hispanic, but they fired him anyway, and they fired him fast. You know, so there is truth to that. I think if this was a white guy, he would probably stay on the force until he retired. You know, in New Orleans before Katrina, most of the cops that were involved in police brutality were black cops. Someone else had mentioned that as well. There was actually a documentary on these officers that were involved with drugs and things of that sort. And, you know, they were killing people to keep them quiet and all that. You know, it's a good idea for us to have our own, you know, our own like somebody was saying, government or at least in our communities, you know how like in my communities they have their own police forces sometimes, and maybe do something like that, so that we hire our own cops or even elect our own cops, to try to prevent this kind of thing from happening, or even bring back beat cops because beat cops walk around the same neighborhoods they can know people developing a bond, with individuals. Because this isn't going to be the last time. It's going to keep on happening. And black women tend to get less attention when something like this happens to us compared to when it happens to guys. But it does happen. And more people are going to keep getting beaten. More and more black women are going to keep on getting beaten up, getting killed. Like in San Francisco, a couple of years ago, a pregnant young black woman who was a mother, she had like 3 kids, was shot and killed by a white cop, and that barely even got any attention whatsoever. But it's going to keep on happening until we can do something to prevent it. Maybe pass the law saying cops have to have at least a 2-year college degree. Not be ex-military, something like that. Because otherwise, more of us are just going to keep on getting beaten up. More black women are going to keep on getting beaten up, getting raped. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. I'm going to be honest, though, because in a lot of these cities, you have a shortage of cops. So I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where they're going to mandate that the cops actually have to have some college background, whether it's 2 years or 4 years. I just think there's that they're taking the bottom of the barrel because they simply don't have enough people that's actually trying to become cops. That I don't think is ever going to get to that point that they're going to say, hey, you know what, you got to have a college degree or some kind of college, any kind of college, anything like that too. And I think also the military thing as well too. We have to remember that not everybody that's in the military now sees wartime action as well too. So you got a lot of people that's in the military. And yeah, we've had over the past 20 some odd years, you've had the war in Iraq and Afghanistan and all of that, but we've had plenty of peacetime as well too. We've had a lot of cops in the past, 60, 70 years that they've never seen any kind of war action, anything like that. And they still go out there and they still, break the law and everything else as well too. But I just really don't think you'll ever get it to that point because in some of these cities, it's such a small pool of police officers to pick from that they're pretty much trying to get any and everybody they can get up in there as well too. But I don't. I mean, realistically, could that help? Yeah, I think it could help, but I just don't think that because you got the same with the military at this point in time. There's the military is struggling in terms of trying to get people to actually enlist and stuff as well too. So I just don't think that it's going to get to the point that people are going to say, hey, you know what? I need that. I'm going to have somebody in there in college. You have to have college or this and that or whatever. I really don't. I see we got us a troll over there on Twitter as well too. Salami Swami. Talk about I guess this person came in doing the broadcast and left a little nasty little comment. Talk about did Shaniqua get pieced up? So y'all go ahead and greet this Peckerwood over there and show them how we do over here because apparently this troll came into the right broadcast tonight. So go ahead and please.
Tell them to come in the space and defend it. I'll be here all night.
That's right. Matter of fact, Salami Swami, if you go all the way up into the chat at the very beginning, I got a link for this Twitter space. So you can come over here and because I started putting a link in there for people that want to come over here, especially for those that want to mouth off and stuff. If you want to come on over here, you can come on right over here. I got the link to the Twitter space. All you need to have is an actual a Twitter account. And you can come over here and you can tell us exactly how Shaniqua got pieced up.
Hey, News, he's probably in the police academy right now. That's your prime candidate right there.
He's probably somewhere with his boyfriend in the trailer. That's probably where he's at right now, getting touched up. So if he wants to come over here and defend what he's got to say, come on over here and get the microphone, Salami. But yeah, let me get to I am. I see you up in here. What's going on with you? I am, and I got you, Press, and I got Professor.
Hey, Newstoter, DJ, Professor, Black American Family.
I am. You really, really low. You got a headset on?
No, I'm in my work truck. I'm getting off work
Yeah, you low, but go ahead.
I'm low. I'm still low.
Yeah, you real low. You low, sweetie.
I'm sorry.
Is it just me, y'all, or is she low to y'all too?
It just sounds like she maybe be a little far off.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, it's background noise. Yeah, it's like wind in the background.
Well, I got my windows up, but I'm in my work truck, so I do apologize. I'll talk as loud as I possibly can.
Go ahead, you got it.
In my hometown, the old mayor, he did that. He worked really hard to hire people from the hometown and everything. Then he took on Puma and Thirsty. Puma and Thirsty were from the hometown. They became police officers, and they were boomers, and they freaking terrorized. They bullied people in school, and then they got on the police force and bullied the hell out of everybody in the fucking neighborhood. Oh, sorry, in the neighborhood. Sorry, Newstoter. In the neighborhood. So the old man, he did try. He really tried. And it was such a shortage that he wound up having to go outside of the village to get police officers, and unfortunately, it led to other incidents with other police officers from other cities. But when you get people like Puma and freaking Thirsty, who were from the neighborhood and went to the school, graduated from the local high school, and bullied everybody in school, and then came and bullied everybody once they became police officers. It's like a catch-22. I agree we should be hiring from the neighborhood, but they still need to be vetted thoroughly as well. Puma and Thirsty should have never been cops. And the stories I can tell you about these two morons. But we got to figure out something, and we got to do something. And I don't know what it is, but something has to be done to rectify this situation. And I'm going to leave that comment alone as to actually my opinion on how it should be handled, to be perfectly honest. But I'm just going to land with this, brothers and sisters. We are our own solution. We keep looking outwards for the solution to our problems. When every problem that we have, we hold the solution within our hands, within our grasp. It's amongst us all. So find it and put it to work. That's what I ask of you this evening, okay? And y'all have a safe evening out here, and be careful. These Democrats is out here acting crazy tonight, boy, I tell you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, sweetie. Definitely. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get back to Black Pressure and then Melissa. Anybody else we got? What's up, Coach? I see you up in here as well, too. Shout out to Val. Shout out to Mel. Shout out to Black Majority State, Shannon, all y'all, Mr. Finn, everybody up in here. Shout out to y'all. Nita. I see Original down there. Miss Cleopatra, all of you guys. Shout out to all of y'all up in the space tonight. Definitely. Let me go ahead and get to Pressure. Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, news, two quick things. So I can't speak for any other state, but I know in South Texas, where I'm from, they don't make a police officer have to have a college degree. I think they want, I think they want them to have so many accumulated college hours. You don't have to have the degree, but you have to have the college hours accumulated in, what do they call that? Not law enforcement, but the degree that relates to that.
Criminal justice.
I think they want you to have 60 hours where I'm from. I want you to have 60 hours towards that criminal justice degree. But also, too, this is how I look at it. I'm not going to go sit down in someone's institution of education, of higher education, pay my money to get a degree and get out and make $60,000 a year. That's just not going to happen. if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna get something that pays way more than a police officer. And also, I'll touch on this real quick. That idea that, you know, the veterans would make more ideal cops or make better cops. Go look up the suicide rate for military veterans. It is literally mind blowing how these guys off themselves. I mean, it's at an astronomical rate. So it's just a military veteran and just giving them a gun and a badge. Like I said, you look up those suicide rates. That when you match all the numbers together, that could end up ending in disaster when you start peeling the layers back on those issues with military veterans. And I'll mute up and listen.
All right. Appreciate that, Black Pressure. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to let me give a shout out real quick to Coach TP for his contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get back to Melissa. Melissa, go ahead and unmute your mic.
There used to be a time when cops had to be psychologically evaluated. I think it was every 6 months or so, and then they stopped that. You know, and there was a reason why they had to be evaluated. And, you know, definitely if they shoot somebody, they have to be evaluated. I don't know if they're still doing that, but I know that they did stop, at least where I'm from, originally in San Francisco, they stopped making cops do these evaluations every 6 months or so. You know, and maybe that should be like a requirement in every police department across the country, you know, to make sure that cops are still in their right minds. You know, and a department, psychologist, not, you know, a personal private psychologist that, you know, a cop chooses to hire. That might help curb some of these attacks too. You know, if a cop is found to be too stressed, too wound up, because, you know, cops have high domestic violence rates as well. So their job is stressful. You know, so that might help.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Let me read a comment real quick. Nightfall said, he says, the problem with new cops is no matter where they come from, just like in the military, they become indoctrinated in the culture of law enforcement. He also says, Newstoter, remember in training day when the white boy was under Denzel and he was training him to be a dirty cop, that is the culture, even though the white boy was a straight arrow. So we definitely know about the actual corruption and in the law enforcement and stuff, because let's be for real, all of these drugs and guns that get into the neighborhoods and stuff like that and get across the border and get into the country and everything else couldn't get there without the aid of law enforcement. So let me go ahead and get to Professor. Professor, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter. Family, I want you to understand when a lot of these white boys and even other officers, because I'm not going to just talk about the white ones, go into the military, that's a lot of time why they going in there, is to get some training, because the military training prepares you for law enforcement. A lot of times if you go in and do military training, your law enforcement training is going to be short. They cut it in half, actually, because the training is very much the same type of training. But what they do is they cut that training in half when you be in the classroom. So you'll do most of your classroom work instead of going out and doing the physical type labor work where you out, you know, basically PT exercise, and they'll just have you in the classroom because you already got the military training, and they do that through your DD 214. They know that you've been in the military. They know you did all the training. So then they just say, okay, well, you did all of this. Now all we got to do is just put you in the classroom. Then you be ready to get out there and we'll send you out on the streets, because you should be smart enough to be able to handle these streets out there. Hey, I'm telling y'all, because I went in convention, but I was also offered opportunities to be in law enforcement as far as a police officer. I didn't want to do the police officer thing, because to me, the police officer thing is you got to be out there doing dirty shit. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Don't forget the language, but go ahead, Professor.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna be out there doing stuff that's gonna unfortunately be going against the community that you come from. And I did not want to be involved in that. Because hey, I'm all the way Black American, and I look at my community that needs to be uplifted. We don't need to be torn down, and that's what law enforcement is about. It's about keeping the community torn down, doing things to make sure that people are locked up. Because if you look at law enforcement, they will let the same type white boy who's committing crimes, they will let that person go. Let me put it this way. They might arrest that person, but a lot of times in the courts, that person is not going to get the same type of sentencing that a black person or a Black American would get. The white person will get probation, or maybe even the case might even get dismissed. But a lot of times when it comes to you as a black person, you're going to end up suffering some type of sentence of being locked up and maybe being put on a long time probation, some community service for a long period of time, paying out all kinds of money. It's just another way to get you trapped, okay? I didn't want to be a part of that system, okay? But that's what this is all about. This system was set up as a way to hold down one community only, and that is our community. Now, a lot of these officers, 40% is the number, by the way, that's involved in domestic disputes within their own family. That's a pretty high number. About 40% are involved in domestic violence within their own homes. So some of these folks that's in uniforms out here committing violence within their own home against their own families. That's something to be cognizant of. Not to mention, some of them just out here downright ugly committing crimes. I'm just telling you how it is. That's somebody that was in corrections. I saw this shit for myself.
Language, man.
That's my bad. But anyway, I saw it from Pittsburgh. What happened now?
Drop a tip on the jar every time you cuss now.
But anyway, I saw it for myself being in corrections. I saw what it was like. So I'm telling you, that system is not a system that Black Americans should get involved in. And you shouldn't really become a police officer. I'm sorry, not in this system, okay? Now, if we get into a Black majority state, then we can be in that system, because that'll be us, right? That'll be owned by us. But in this system, you shouldn't be in it, because you're having to do things that's going to go against your community. I'm just being honest. So I'm going to land right there.
All right. Appreciate that, Professor.
Cash app, hit the cash app if you want to come up with cuss.
Appreciate that, Professor. Let me go ahead and get to let me read another comment real quick that Nightfall said. It says, when you were saying about they wanted you to become, I guess, a police officer, he responded, he said they do that because you're already indoctrinated into the military culture that allows you to accept and follow orders without question. So that was Nightfall over there on YouTube. I think Nightfall said he was actually served as well too. So let me go ahead and get to I am. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm out the truck. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we hear you better now.
Okay. I just had wanted to know if anyone knew, because you have the sheriffs, you have the the local police, and then you have the state troopers, highway patrol. Is there a difference in the numbers in regards to who's doing what the most? Because I've rarely heard or seen any state troopers. It's mostly been like the local police. So how do you find out, or where could I see the numbers for in regards to differentiate where it's happening, or where it's happening the most, under which shield or badge, so to speak?
More than
Anything
likely.
they got to do with New Jersey State Troopers. Check anything they got to do with New Jersey State Troopers. There you go. They all the way
More
back
than likely, I would say DJ is going to be the law enforcement that interacts with mostly with the residents of the city, like state troopers. Like in Texas, where I'm at, state troopers, you're only going to see them on the highway giving tickets to speeders. So they're not going to interact with people inside the city limits as much as a beat cop would. If that can help you out in.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 100% pushback on that. Come to Irvington, New Jersey. State troopers used to run this place, and they used to pick us up from one side of the town, drop us off in gang neighborhood on the other side of the town. They used to beat our ass. Look up New Jersey State Trooper issues dealing with black discrimination and black folks, or folks just in general. Because white folks get clapped out here by the state troopers all the time down in South Jersey. Look it up, man.
In Texas, you only see them on the highway. That's it.
No.
You just see them on the highway.
We got major highways and byways up here. Parkway 78, 22, 280, Turnpike added up. You understand? And they on all of them. Trust me. Look up New Jersey State Troopers issues. Murder, kill, whatever how you want to look at it. I am. There you go. And don't forget.
It's the same thing here in North Carolina. North Carolina, I work with the highway patrol and the sheriffs, and but we only see them on major roads, state roads. You don't see them on the local highways. So that's why I was like, I wanted to know, if there was a difference in who's doing it more.
Yeah, you probably see the most with your. Yeah, you probably see the most with your city cops, and the second with in Texas, you got the city cops, which in the city limits. Then you have your rural area. You have the sheriff's department. They deal with the inbred rednecks and people that live in the swamps and all that.
I see we got Rella up here, but I see we got Coach TP. Coach TP, did you want to go ahead and speak? You're a new speaker. You want to go ahead and say something?
No, I can go last.
Okay, we ain't gonna keep it going. I'll let Rella go, and I'll let you go. And we're gonna get ready to probably close it out for the night.
Let me say this just real quick. So again, back in the 90s, sorry for the TV, you got hear that in the back. I don't know what it will know that. Back in the 90s, over here in Irvington, New Jersey, the state troopers had a contract with the township. When I tell you, they was get your ass up against the car. You think you tough? That was that type of policing, but they were white. You feel what I'm saying? Real talk. They used to bust our ass. Real talk. State troopers, yo.
Language, y'all. Language.
You know what I'm saying? You also had Irvington, the PD, where you had cops like Hogan, who was a black dude that would do the same thing. So it's like it just really depends where you at the moment and how you looking at it. You know what I'm saying? So, but you could just go right down to North and get the same treatment from North PD, or go across the Union and get the same thing from Union detectives. You know what I'm saying? Or go to Maplewood. These folks have relegated us and pushed us into a what they call it. What's the word I'm looking for? Into a zone. I know it's a word for. I can't think right now. As far as relegating us into just a certain section of the state in the hood. So it's like they've been doing this, man. This ain't nothing new. You should check your surroundings about wherever you at, somewhere in the black neighborhood city. Look at the surrounding towns that surround you. So it ain't really too many. It depending where you at. Black city, another surrounding black town and city adjacent to you. We sit in ducks 9 times out of 10. But go ahead, though.
All right. We go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Rella?
I'm here. I'm sorry, I was just talking. DJ is correct in regards to, I think, the experiences, but I feel that we can't forget how power is controlled on the state level. The governor is like the president. The sheriff, depending on where you are, what cities, the sheriffs are, I think the gentleman that was up here that talked about the slave patrol, the power of the sheriff is to control the borders of cities, and then the highway patrol is pretty much the federal power on a state level. And you have to, I think, maybe wrap our heads around how power is controlled in the state. That would allow us to figure out why getting in law enforcement is important, and then also fighting for better wages for them. I did hear Black Person talk about, getting, some of the jobs I know in areas where the GDP is a lot higher, police officers make over 6 figures. So that is a conversation for city council meetings, board meetings, and things like that to take place. If you really want to say, I want to be the people to control, how our police officers are treating us, there's a double-edged sword to that. Well, how well are you able to fight for them and the things that they come up and talk about they have issues with, that aren't being addressed? And then at the same time, I do believe that they need to have a psychology degree or some sort of something that helps them to position themselves a lot better, not just the physical training that they go through in the academy or the other supremacy training that they go through, where you have someone who murdered Terrence. One of his name was Terrence Crawford. The woman who murdered him went to trial, got off, and became a police trainer. Right? So then that's the other piece of it. And then the police chief. There is a hierarchy in there. There's a power structure and a power struggle. We should be in those positions. So I'm going to push back. I don't agree that we should not be in law enforcement of any capacity. We should be U.S. Marshals. We definitely should be bounty hunters, and we definitely should be local police law enforcement forces as well. But the police chief and the sheriff, they're voted in. You vote for them when you go to the poll. If you don't pay attention, they'll ask you some questions about the sheriff on your ballots, and they have those discussion and referendum meetings. So I think it's something that we probably should expand on, but by no means should we not be in positions of law enforcement, because when you look at what happened at Black Wall Street at the time, there was this fear of them not allowing us to patrol or protect ourselves other than what they were willing to give us. And they were the sheriff. They had power, so they were able to also take us out at the same time. So we can never let them get that upper hand. And I'll land there.
I'm push back a little bit.
Hey, real quick, Professor. Let me say this. I let Ray come up here and Royal Bloodline, but don't let any other new speakers, because we're getting ready to close this thing out. So when we get ready to close it out, guys, from now on, if we got to try, when we say we're gonna have the last 2 speakers, that's what it means. We're not gonna be bringing nobody up, but I'm gonna let Ray come up here and Royal Bloodline. If you want to say something, raise your hand. But we're gonna be closing this thing out in a few minutes here. But go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, but I'm gonna push back a little bit, and that is, I was speaking of the fact, because this is a system that is controlled by them. No matter how many you have of us up in there, black faces or whatever, it's controlled by them no matter what. So as you seeing with a lot of these videos, black officers are still attacking us. So this is not the system where you need to be trying to put black faces in. I'm sorry, I just can't roll with you on that one, because unfortunately these officers, if they go into this system, they pretty much got to do what is told of them, because they don't control anything. Now, if we're in a black majority state, that's a whole different matter. But when you're in this system, you don't have no say-so in anything, because you're having to be under somebody else's control. So that's what I'm speaking on. Now, I understand where you're coming from about getting black folks in all over in law enforcement, but as you can see, if you get them all in these different areas, it don't make no difference, because the system is still controlled by you know who. So I'm a man right there.
All right. Thank you. I saw Aon, you had a question why I'm not recording anymore. Like I told everybody before, we got the YouTube channel. So, if people can come in here, we do it normally for a couple hours. If you guys can't catch it live, then just go ahead to YouTube. We need more subscribers over there. We need more views. So that's why we stopped when going recording live. I used to record live all the time. And I'm trying to get in the hang of not recording live. So we want to go ahead and get the YouTube channel, start building that up some. So that's why I won't be recording it live anymore. We want to try to get as many people to go over there that if they don't catch it live over here, then they can always listen to the replay over there on YouTube. Let me go ahead and get to Coach TP. What's up with you tonight? You there, Coach?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, I was saying I appreciate the space and the education that you give to our people.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
There is. Put a link in the chat. We definitely need to deconstruct how a law enforcement official or police officer is created. There's an outdated psychological exam that wasn't written by anybody of our family tree lineage. We have psychologists at high levels that understand our culture and our people. It's called the Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory Exam, which is really not based off of our lineage, and that's how they actually funnel in a lot of these troglodyte Neanderthals into these positions. I'm in the city of Philadelphia, and the mayor, the police commissioner is a part of his cabinet or her cabinet. And every state and city is different. There are states and cities where the law enforcement officials are elected by the citizens. There was, in 2014, the former Mayor Kenny put in legislation when he was a councilman to allow anybody from around the world to come to the city of Philadelphia and carry a firearm on their hip. We had people from Asia, Australia, Europe, Canada, Bumble, Nonsense, Iowa, that ain't never been in our culture. Before that, you had to live within the city of Philadelphia County in Pennsylvania to even work for the city. And in 2020, in the summer, Walter Wallace Jr. got gunned down in front of his birth mother by these 9, I don't even think they were from America. And they changed the law back. So we definitely have to continually be educated politically. We're getting mature. And we definitely need that psychological exam. Our people don't need to be a part of that. We definitely need our own people in law enforcement. That's why we have separate fraternal orders here in the city of Philadelphia. It's called the Guardian Civic League, and they're all around the country. They're just not broadcast. Speak my piece.
All right. Appreciate you tonight, Coach. Thank you as always. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, news? I'm going to be really, really quick. Anytime the topic, of police are brought up, I have to remind our people about bulletproof warrior training. If you haven't heard about bulletproof warrior training, it's taught by this, it was invented by a man named Jim Gleason. He was an extremist. And it teaches about fear-based training that's promoted and taught by a man named Dave Grossman. He was an Army officer who specializes in killology. And they have these seminars that go around the United States, and they teach police officers, I ain't going to say in the art of killing, but it's something very similar to that. So I think that's something that everyone needs to check out. Again, Bulletproof Warrior Training, please check it out.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Ray, Royal Bloodline, you're up here. Did you want to say something real quick?
I
appreciate you having me on, Newstoter. Yeah, I just wanted to say I've been listening for a minute, and I don't think we get to the root of the problem and the whole problem here, because what the police are doing and what they've been doing for about the last 20, 25 years is killing black men, taking a black man out of the household either through jail or killing him, and then it just making it harder for the woman to take care of a household on her own, or a mom, or a grandmother, or whoever it may be, and then we lose those houses. I'm going through a similar situation right now. Got a case against the California Highway Patrol, and I think I'm talking to you because you're a serious news guy, and you may want to actually look into this, how many of those houses that black men died, that police killed those black men, how many of those houses that their family had are now owned by some of those same officers, government officials, people in the court, people in law enforcement, as far as COs and correctional facilities. It's a deeper problem than we think is going on in the community. And like I said, I'm going through it now. I was supposed to be dead, not to even be able to speak for myself. But luckily, I'm still alive for now. And, they came through and tried to foreclose on the home, took my mother out of the home, and just tried to, steal about $3.5 million of equity. So, I just think that might be a topic that you might want to look into for your news reporting, and I think you might find some interesting results. And I'll rest right there.
Hey, do you have any links or any documentation you can give us so we can maybe look into that and see about maybe forming some kind of space or something around it?
Well, as far as my case, I got the case for Emmanuel Smith on YouTube done by ETM Media, where I get to actually tell my story. As far as ABC Channel 7 News, you can look up Man Stop's truck on 101.
Post it in the chat. Get the links and send it to us in the DMs and post it.
That's what I can do. I'll do that.
Yeah, so we can take a look at that and see what's up on that as well too. So that may be an interesting conversation to have as well too. I don't write any articles, anything. Everything you see me post is actually from our curation partners. But in terms of these spaces and stuff like that, we can put something together. So, definitely maybe send it to DJ as well too. I don't know if you and DJ following each other, and then we'll go ahead and try to maybe see if we can try to coordinate something around that if possible as well too. So definitely and just try to keep us posted on it, because that sounds like something else right there. That definitely sounds like something worth looking into as well too. So
yes, sir. Well, I'll post the links for you. I'll post the links for you, and I'll land my plane. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, and let me give you a follow so you can send that to me, and we can like I said, we can. I am not gonna lie, I have been really, really busy. I haven't been even doing the same amount of spaces that I used to in the past as well too, because I have other things outside of Twitter and stuff like that as well, to business and stuff like that I have to take care of. But I definitely, I want to try to get back to doing at least consistently doing 2 spaces broadcasts a week. I mean, last year, so we was doing 4, but I haven't been able to do that amount because, like I said, I've been having so many different things I've been working on as well, too, different projects and everything else as well, too. But I would definitely, like I said, that's definitely worth looking into. So definitely, just keep us posted, and we'll see by trying to maybe put something together around that as well, too. We're going to go ahead and end the space for the night, guys. I appreciate all you guys coming up in here. Shout out to all my people coming up in the space. I see my girl Jess Cakes just got up in here, too, as well. So shout out to that young sister, her family as well, too. Love Jess Cakes. But definitely, guys, I appreciate everybody coming up in here and speaking tonight, supporting as you guys always do. It was always we had to touch up on this, man. I had to touch up on this I know we do the political stuff as well too. Like I said, I want to get back to the Newstoter spaces as well. I like doing political stuff, but I do like the news cycle and everything that's going on in Black America as well too. So I got to try to find that balance so we can go ahead and mix it in as well too. I know it's political season. I know the election is 3 weeks away. We definitely gonna probably do an election night as well too. So just giving everybody a heads up, we'll definitely election night with the showdown with Kamala and about to say Joe Biden, but Donald Trump. We'll definitely be having an election night space as well too, guys. So definitely y'all make sure y'all come through. That's gonna be wild, whether whoever wins or not, man. That's gonna be a long space too. That's gonna be a 3-4 hour space that night as well too, guys. So y'all definitely come through for that. What's up, Rel? I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, right before you get out of here, I want to give a shout out to definitely Trouble and Mel. Trouble hit me up because I was actually laying down. I just been trying to sleep, I think, because of this little cold. But I just wanted to, just to send my prayers and love to her, and healing to her. Shout out to, like I said, everybody in the room, all the sisters and brothers, the descendants in the room, and the allies. Much love to you all. Thank you for being here, and peace.
Thank you. As always, elegant, Miss Rella. I appreciate that, sweetie. Professor, DJ, you guys want to go ahead and get something in before we close it out?
I just want to say shout out to everybody for coming up in space tonight. Let's get ready for the extension of this space, and let's do it.
What's up, DJ? You want to say something?
Yeah, I got the weed. Let's go. Hey, Roy, you check your DM, but yeah, peace out, fam. See you on the next one.
All right, DJ and Professor about to get the late night space. Hopefully, I don't know my girl Rella. She sounds like she's fighting that cold. So Rella, if you're feeling up to it, definitely swing by and holler at your boys as well.
She ain't say she lying.
Yeah. Hey, tell Rilla to drink some Jack Daniels.
I'll hit this weed. I'll make you on sick, sister. Cough that right on out, man.
But anyways, we love you.
We love you, sister. Look, you get better, okay? But if you can come by, come by.
Definitely. So y'all have a good weekend. Catch out the late night space, and we will see you guys in peace.
Smoke Buddha.